Yes, ma'am. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we're reading from 10 to 3. 3, what is that, Prabhuji? 3?
3:30, 32.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Daivena saditam tasya
Daivena saditam tasya.
Shamalam niraye puman
Shamalam niraye puman.
Bhungte kutumba poshasya
Bhukte kutumba poshasya.
Kritavitta ivaturaha.
Ratavitta ivaturaha.
Yeah, someone will repeat.
Daivena saditam tasya.
Daivena
Saditam
saditam tasya
Shamalam niraye puman.
Shamayam nilare
Te kutumba poshasya. Te
kutumba poshasya
Mutavitti vaturaha.
Yes, ma'am.
Daivena saditam tasya.
Devena saditam tasya
Shamalam niraye puman.
Shamalam niraye puman
Bhunte kutumba poshasya.
Bhunte kutumba poshasya
Ritavitta ivaturaha.
Kritavitta ivaturaha. Synonyms. Mataji's like to. Devena saditam tasya Shamalam niraye puman Bhunte kutumba poshasya Kritavitta ivaturaha. Daivena. By the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Asaditam. Obtained. Tasya. His. Shamalam. Sinful reaction. Niraye. In a hellish condition. Puman. The man. Bhungte. Undergoes. Kutumba Poshasya. Of maintaining a family. Hritavittaha. One whose wealth is lost. Iva, like, Aturaha, suffering. Thus, by translation purport devised by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thus, by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maintainer of kinsman is put into a hellish condition to suffer for his sinful activities, like a man who has lost his wealth. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The example set herein is that the sinful person suffers just like the man who has lost his wealth. The human form of body is achieved by the conditioned soul after many, many births and is a very valuable asset. Instead of utilizing this life to get liberation, if one uses it simply for the purpose of maintaining a so-called family and therefore performs foolish and unauthorized action, he is compared to a man who has lost his wealth and who, upon losing it, laments. When wealth is lost, there is no use lamenting, but as long as there is wealth, one has to utilize it. One has to utilize it properly and thereby gain eternal profit. It may be argued that when a man leaves his money earned by sinful activities, he also leaves his sinful activities here with his money. But it is especially mentioned herein that by superior arrangement, devena saditam, although the man leaves behind him his sinfully earned money, he carries the effect of it. When a man steals some money, if he is caught and agrees to return it, he is not freed from the criminal punishment. By the law of the state, even though he returns the money, he has to undergo the punishment. Similarly, the money earned by a criminal process, similarly, the money earned by a criminal process may be left by the man when dying, but by superior arrangement, he carries with him the effect, and therefore he has to suffer hellish life. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamallam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saravagnathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parina Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sabalalita Shri Vishakhanvitam. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभान स्थिति प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्. So again, my humble obeisance to all the devotees. Take the blessings of everyone, especially His Grace Yuval Kishore Prabhu. So this verse is very, very important for all devotees, for all persons. It's very, very important because this verse is speaking about how wealth um, has to be earned in a very proper way and utilized in a proper way. Actually, just as it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita says that any of the roaming senses, if they are left astray, these roaming senses can distract us and can completely, can, of course, bhakti can never be destroyed, but can for the time being can halt our devotional activities. So our all our property, all tadiya, it is called tadiya, everything related to Krishna, because everything that a devotee has in his possession is supposed to relate to Krishna. That's very important. If anything in the temple or at home, anywhere, does not relate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then it can be a source of distraction. As much as it is mentioned that everything related to Krishna can remind one of Krishna, and one can spiritualize everything which is in relation to Krishna, and that way can become Krishna conscious. In the same way, anything which is at home or in the temple, which is not related to Krishna, which does not remind us of Krishna, can cause us distraction from our meditation on Shri Shri Radha Gopijana Vallabha Gauri Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. So it can cause us distraction from the service of the Lord. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very, very merciful. It's like Krishna says that Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yomi Bhaktya Prayachati. So um, anything Krishna says you offer me with love can ultimately uh, lead to my loving reciprocation. Anything you offer to Krishna with love in your heart uh, can result in a loving reciprocation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that loving reciprocation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead in any form, whether it's the beauty of the Lord, whether it's the mercy of the devotees, anything which brings us to the point of becoming attracted to Him is most desirable or is the most highest treasure. So coming back to this verse, so all of one's wealth must be used in the service of the Lord. So whether the wealth is used at home or in the temple, it doesn't matter, but all the wealth must be used in the service of the Lord. So here it is being mentioned that sinfully earned money. So Srila Prabhupada says that one thing very important for a devotee is to be very straightforward in his dealings. So if one is not straightforward in his dealings and he earns money illegally by committing some sinful activity or even by gambling, then that money unfortunately gives him a sinful reaction. So that's why uh, Varnashram is required for us to function in this world. We have to follow Varnashram properly. And in Varnashram setup, the Grihastha devotees, they actually earn money by a very justified, a very dharmic way. So you see when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time that how all the householders, they were earning money in a very, very bona fide way. So this is very important. One should not engage in a profession which is against the scriptures. Tasmat pramanam shastram karya akarya vivastita. So as long as someone is earning money by just means and using that to advance in Krishna consciousness, uh, such a person will attain the lotus feet of the Lord. In fact, if someone performs his occupational duty in a very um, dharmic way and uses that money to worship the Lord, then it's as good as if he does very carefully and completely, it is as good as a sannyasi or a renunciant who is using all his time and energy in the service of Krishna. Because ultimately, if everything is engaged in the service of Krishna, means naturally the mind will be thinking of Krishna. If the mind is thinking of Krishna, means that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal of the Varnashram up is to everything can be spiritualized in the service of the Lord, and in that way the mind can dwell on the Lord. So there are many wonderful examples of such persons in the Bhagavatam. Parikshit Maharaj, who actually engaged all of his wealth, uh, even Ambarish Maharaj engaged all of his wealth, all of his energy in the complete service of the Lord. Like we even hear that how great kings like Parikshit Maharaj, they used to give a lot of donation to the Brahmanas. So the Brahmanas are very, very dear to the Lord. Why? Because the Brahmanas are completely dependent on the Lord for their survival, and the Brahmanas, they only engage in the glorification of the Lord. So the rule or the according to Dharma, the rulers are supposed to engage their wealth in the service of the Brahmanas or of the pure devotees of the Lord. And in that way, the wealth becomes purified. And here, Srila Prabhupada also mentions that um, the human form of body is achieved by the conditioned soul after many, many births and is a very valuable asset. So this human form of life, uh, I think it is very important to stress this again and again, because many times we don't realize it. Even though we may say it, we don't realize, because I'm speaking to myself, that how rare this human form is. Like, if we just were to give an example, that if a materialistic person had the chance to try for something very, very valuable, like let's say, for example, uh, a person in this world had the opportunity to try for um, the opportunity to become CEO of Google. Like, someone gave an opportunity, okay, you have the opportunity to become a CEO of Google today. Um, uh, from now till evening, I give you time, I give you the material, I give you everything. And there are many persons who have been successful in obtaining this job. You just have to follow their footsteps. These are the success stories. It's very easy. You just have to read them few times and you will be successful. So how eager will that person be? Will he think at that time, let me go to restaurant, let me go to movie? No, he won't. He'll be completely absorbed because it's very attractive. It's very attractive. It's very attractive in a financial way. It's very attractive also from the point of position in society. Everyone will respect that person. So, how much more valuable is the opportunity to become a servant of Krishna? Prabhupada says, to become the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, Prabhupada said, that is first class Vaishnava. So, how valuable is a first class Vaishnava? Like, so many examples are there. How much the Lord pays so much respect, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu was so much pleased with Shuklambar Brahmachari. He's just simple devotee, exalted devotee. How much Lord was pleased with him. So the position of becoming a pure devotee, unalloyed devotee of the Lord, is most exalted, and we all have realized it. We all have heard about it. And this human form of life is so rare. Just like it's explained, that if there is a log of wood which is floating in the ocean, and that log of wood has a hole in it, that hole is, of course, very small compared to the log of wood, and that hole is very small compared to the size of the ocean. So if someone is drowning in the ocean, he sticks his head up, and by chance his head gets stuck in that hole of log of wood. That is how rare the human form of life is. It's extremely rare. So, and this human form of life, there is a wonderful verse in Bhagavatam, I forgot, but it says that this human form of life is a very special opportunity to cross this ocean of nations by the remembering the instructions of Krishna and by following the direction of the Guru, of the spiritual master. One can successfully cross the cross the materialistic material ocean of nations by holding on to the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. So it's very, very, very rare. Yes, Rasigovi Prabhu also said that, we have all engaged in the material life, in this material nature, to gratify our senses for as many lives as there are grains of sand in the beach. So innumerable, innumerable. But now we are so fortunate. Not only have we got the human body, but we got this very, very special privilege, very special opportunity to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in that way attain his lotus feet. So here it's mentioned, if one uses it for the purpose of maintaining his so-called family and therefore performs foolish and unauthorized action. So two things are here. One is to maintain our position in this world. If we use it simply to maintain our position in this world. So one may say that, well, I have to maintain my family, because if I don't maintain my family, then how will they be able to perform devotional service? So yes, so maintenance for the purpose of remembering Krishna, of serving Krishna. So this is the key, that the difference between bhakti and karma yoga is, in karma yoga only the result is engaged in the service of the Lord. But in bhakti, the whole process is actually to serve the Lord. So they're simple. So if the consciousness to serve Krishna is happening throughout the process of maintaining the family, then that is devotional service. That is devotional service, and that is very pleasing to the Lord. Mm. And then performing foolish and unauthorized action. So why does someone perform foolish and unauthorized action? It's because of ignorance. So how do we overcome ignorance? We overcome ignorance by the light, the lamp of knowledge. So by scrutinizingly studying the Shastra, actually there is no replacement to studying Shastra. There is no replacement. Even if someone has no realization, just by studying Shastra in a humble mood, at least he understands how valuable what it is that he is doing. Like, for example, say someone is hearing lecture of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada makes a statement like, if you are not happy, then you cannot realize Krishna. If you're not happy in devotional service, means you're in Maya. So this statement, suppose someone who is not performing any devotional service, he hears this statement. So what will happen naturally? There will be time when he will not be happy. So this will ring in his head. Oh, I am not happy because I'm not performing devotional service. I am not happy. So at some point he'll be forced to perform devotional service. So that is the power of Shastra, that believe it or not, most of the time our intellect is responsible for our actions. And because our intellect is filled with the intelligence of this mundane world, therefore we become enthused to perform mundane activities. I mean, speaking for myself. So unless, just like whatever memory is there in the computer, according to that, you will see the output on the screen. So same way, whatever, memory is in the brain, whatever knowledge is there in the brain, accordingly you perform devotional service. So it's a very simple thing. So by hearing and by reading Srila Prabhupada's purports, one will become enthusiastic in devotional service. Mm. And then another very amazing part of this purport is that Prabhupada says by utilizing wealth properly, one can gain eternal profit. Eternal profit. The wealth is temporary, even the activity may be temporary, but the profit is eternal. But on the other hand, if you use that wealth for unnecessary or for sinful activities, if one uses, then the result is that the sinful reaction, that is also, unfortunately, he has to suffer that. So when I was reading this purport, I was just thinking about how we do so many activities in our daily life. So many we do, eating, sleeping, so many activities. We don't remember the activities. We don't pay attention so much to the activities, but what we remember is the effect of those activities, or the consciousness that results from those activities. That's what is the impression actually remains in our mind. So that's a very important point to consider. And the imprint, like the consciousness imprint that comes in our mind, is Krishna's mercy. Is Krishna's mercy. So here, why is a sin a sin? A sin is a sin because it's displeasing to the Lord. It's going against the laws of the Lord. Dharmam to sakshat bhagavat pranitam. So anything which is against dharma is sinful. And according to the pure devotees of the Lord, anything which is, the more devotees progress, the more and more a devotee becomes conscious of the desire of the Lord. Anything going against that desire is sinful, or is offensive, to be more precise. So by utilizing or by performing all our activities in such a way that it pleases the Lord, then it gives a good imprint on our consciousness, and we carry the effect with us. Like, I was just thinking about myself, like, okay, now morning program happened. So according to the sincerity of my endeavor to please Krishna during this morning program, I'll carry a particular consciousness after the morning program. And then suppose I'll take prasadam. So the consciousness with which I'll take prasad, or how much I will remember Krishna while taking prasad, or accordingly I will take there'll be a consciousness imprint after taking prasad. So like this, all our activities have a consciousness imprint as a result of how much we please Krishna. So if we are careful to please Krishna in all our activities, then in course of time, naturally we will uh, get lot of blessings from Guru and Krishna. We'll get lot of blessings. So hellish life is very, very unfortunate, very scary. Like we also have heard about the hellish planets. So the more we hear about such happenings, the more we should become, like I spoke in the previous discussion, that we should become more eager to spread this knowledge among the mass of people. We should be very, very eager, very, very eager. We should pray because ultimately Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, they have brought the fruits of love of God into this world, and they have requested us to assist them in distributing those fruits of love of God. So we should pray that although I am most unqualified, please engage me as a servant of the servant of the servant in spreading your mercy, because there is no limit to how much a word, a book, a holy name can do to a conditioned soul. And ultimately, we know the principle that all the conditioned souls, or all souls, they're there, they're waiting, and Krishna has already arranged for them to receive the mercy. So it's just a matter of whether we would like to become the instrument or not. Like a simple thing. Like suppose when someone is doing a kirtan, someone is dressing, and you become little insecure in your heart, if that suppose that happens, and you're like, oh, he's doing such a wonderful kirtan, why can't I do such kirtan? And at that moment, if you just offer a prayer that, my Lord, please make this kirtan the best kirtan, may all the devotees relish this kirtan, may this devotee both internally and externally, may he relish his Krishna consciousness. So if you take that opportunity to pray, yes, the kirtan will come out very successful, but after that, you'll be very happy that you prayed for his success. So, in the same way, the success of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sure, there's no doubt about it, that the holy name will spread in every town and village. But if we can somehow assist Lord Chaitanya in this activity of spreading, uh, assist Srila Prabhupada, then we can reap the benefit. Reap the benefit. Uh, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So, of course, in bhakti, that's not true. If you do something wonderful for Krishna, it doesn't give an opposite reaction. But the problem with the modes of material nature is uh, it is difficult to understand. It is difficult to understand what will be the reaction of any activity. So I have stressed this many times, but again and again, it is very important for us to follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Ultimately, I really liked His Grace Srila Prabhupada was mentioning that, Anatma was mentioning that in a family, there's no difference between the uncle and the father. And I was thinking about that, I was meditating on that, and I was thinking that ultimately, all our spiritual masters, all gurus in ISKCON, they want us to become pure devotees, right? All of them want us to follow Srila Prabhupada. So I'm sure no spiritual master is against following Prabhupada. It's just a matter of how to follow Prabhupada. So we have to implement Prabhupada's instructions. Prabhupada, not only Prabhupada's instructions, but Prabhupada's example, we have to learn from that and implement that in the daily life. That's very, very important. And if you do that, definitely, for sure, all arguments, because Prabhupada spoke about everything. There's nothing Prabhupada didn't speak about. One time, Srila Prabhupada was said that why you're a sannyasi, why you're engaged in conducting the marriage of your disciples. Prabhupada said, yeah, for their benefit. I'm a sannyasi. I don't need to engage in such activities, but for their benefit, I'm doing. So Prabhupada went to that extent to do everything, to instruct how everything should be done. So if we study Prabhupada's purports, Prabhupada's instruction, and study Prabhupada's example very carefully, then it's very easy for us to understand how to conduct our daily life, and at the same time become free from committing offenses or going against Shastra. And at the same time, is a very practical. Prabhupada is very practical. You see, in so many ways, Prabhupada is so practical. So we have to follow Srila Prabhupada very carefully, very, very carefully. So, I mean, this is about the verse that how um, going against the will of the Lord and not utilizing wealth in Krishna's service ultimately results in hellish life. But at the same time, by engaging wealth very carefully, very properly, one can attain the audience of the Lord. There's so many wonderful examples. Like one example you see in Chaitanya Charitamrita of Shivananda Sen. How Shivananda Sen, he used to use all his wealth, all his energy in serving the devotees. So all of you, whoever is serving devotees, trying to serve the authority, Shiksha Gurus and devotees in a humble way, they become very, very dear to Krishna, very dear to Krishna. Shivananda Sen, he used to even take care of the dogs. He was so careful to perform this anga of serving the devotees. And the result of that, what happened when he went to Jagannath Puri? Lord Chaitanya ordered that every day Shivananda Sen and his whole family should be given my remnants. Now, someone who's given the remnants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what do you expect? Is there any doubt that they didn't attain love of God? So that is the glory of serving the devotees. It's very, very powerful, very, very powerful. And one more point also I wanted to speak about in relation to this verse, that why is it that one may use his wealth to perform any activity opposing your devotional service? Like one may think that, okay, this may be relevant to non-devotees, but for devotees, why do we need to learn about this, right? So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking that basically the desire to engage our wealth in anything which is not leading to Krishna, the reason why it may come, is because of lack of faith. So this famous verse is there that Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudrida Nishchay. So Sudrida Nishchay, what is Sudrida Nishchay? Krishna Bhakti Kole Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. So unless someone has absolute faith that serving Krishna is only thing required in life, unless someone has that kind of faith, then his faith will not be sudrida, it will not be very strong. And if one's faith is not strong, then naturally one's activities will be like, if you hesitate in your faith, basically, then your activities also be like that. It will not be fun. It may waver, So the most important thing is actually how much you are working to purify the heart. Because once the heart becomes purified, then naturally one's desires will be pure. And if your desires are pure, actions will be pure. And there's no chance of using wealth in anything except the service of Krishna. So there's a very wonderful purport, very wonderful verse. I humbly request everyone to read it or see it at least. It's Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 15. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agam dhanvantika sena niharamiva bhaskaraha. So not only the translation, but the purport is really, really amazing. So I request everyone to read about, Prabhupada speaks about actually how one will attain to the stage of pure devotional service. What are the practical steps one needs to take, especially in the last paragraph? It is being mentioned that how devotional service should be performed and how devotional service is very, very promising also. Very, very promising. So I'll just, if you don't mind, I'll just speak quickly, run through. So the first stage, Prabhupada says in the purport, the last paragraph, Prabhupada says Abhas Rupa Bhakti. So Abhas Rupa Bhakti is Namabha stage. So of course we don't aspire to be a Namaparad stage, of course, or do any aparad. But Abhas Rupa in devotional service, it means to perform any act of devotion with a deep desire to avoid offenses. So that is Abhas Rupa. And Abhas Rupa, Prabhupada says, even an Abhas feature of bhakti, sinful activities are destroyed. So just like the early rays of the sun, they dissipate the darkness. Same way, Abhas Rupa Bhakti, it destroys sinful life. Mm. Then, as one performs Abhas Rupa, according to this purport, I have no realization, but according to this purport, as one performs Abhas Rupa Bhakti, then slowly the Bhakti changes from full vidhi or full rules and regulations to some spontaneity, some attraction, and some vidhi. So it's mixed. It's not spontaneous and it's not fully just rules and regulations, but it's mixed. And then Prabhupada says, if you continue in this way, then you will be able to perform devotional service with more and more spontaneity. And eventually what will happen, like you see in the verse of Nectar of Instruction also, as one continues in this way, performing devotional service, then one will come to the stage of not only spontaneous but continuous devotional service, continuous remembrance of the Lord. So it's very promising. This whole purport is very, very promising for us, and all we have to do is depend on Krishna. I'm speaking for myself, that ultimately what can we do? What is our ability? We can do nothing. So the only difference between an advanced devotee and a neophyte devotee is advanced devotee is always depending on Krishna. He is always considering Krishna's pleasure in his mind. And so there is this sometimes this question between, should we just depend on Krishna and do nothing, or should we just do everything and forget Krishna? So no. So the more we follow the instruction of the spiritual master, the more we are trying to perform devotional service according to the instructions, that is actual dependence on Krishna. So Krishna guarantees that if you perform devotional service according to the instructions of his pure devotees, definitely Krishna will give you special mercy. Jnana Deepena Bhashvat. Krishna will give you mercy, Krishna will give you remembrance, Krishna will help you to progress. So all we have to do is we have to train our mind. I have to train my mind to always depend on Krishna. Check my dependence on Krishna. How much do I feel connected to Krishna's pleasure? How much do I feel connected to Krishna's comfort? So if I keep asking this question in my mind, in my heart, and check my mood, then, and if I'm very careful not to develop a mood which is against Krishna, because yes, going against Krishna is an extreme thing, but at the same time, it is there in my heart to some extent, to a major extent it is there. So at every point, if we are checking whether we are vimukha, whether we are away from Krishna, or our face is turned away or face is turned towards Krishna, then we can get Krishna's grace. We can get Krishna's grace. So all a devotee has to do is he has to simply depend on Krishna. Like Prabhupada says that what is chanting Hare Krishna or what is devotional service? We will simply chant Hare Krishna and cry and pray to be accepted. That's all. This is Prabhupada's words. So devotional service means we simply will pray to be accepted by the Lord. That's all. So this is the process of devotional service, which is very promising, which is very hope-giving. Like in the beginning of the class, I gave the example of someone, a material person who would like a very lucrative job. In the course of his preparation, the the interviewer is not going to come and check how sincere he is in preparation. But the difference is the Lord sees our sincerity in our endeavor. Mm. Even though the result may not be mm, the most appealing, but all the Lord sees, so all the Lord wants to see is the sincerity in our endeavor. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that anyway, the fruits are his. He rewards the fruits. He rewards the fruits. He enjoys the fruits. So the only thing in our control is our endeavor. So if we endeavor according to the direction of the previous acharyas, then for sure we will be successful. And for sure our consciousness will be turned in course of time towards the Lord's pleasure. So it's a very wonderful verse. I have no realization. Please forgive me if I spoke anything wrong, inappropriate. Anyone has any question or comment? You said about when you do something which is not pleasing to Krishna, it can be offensive. So, how can we always know whatever it is, basically, we might be always busy. Um, of course, I am busy all the time, something like that, but I don't know whether my activity is actually pleasing to Krishna. And I'm not heard Prabhupada and pretty much that means that I can know, but really, this activity is pleasing. How can I identify that? So, Prabhupada says that bhakti is a state of heart, and sometimes people say that well, yeah, Prabhupada said that if you just chant and you don't do any service, then Prabhupada said that's not appropriate. I told one devotee that you must do engage in service. So the reason I'm choosing this example is our devotion is connected to how much we please our authorities. So um, if you feel, it's because it's all connected. If you feel in your heart that mm, the mood of devotional service, the mood of the desire to serve the Lord uh, is not coming, uh, then that means that either one, maybe some offense may be there, or two, you're doing something which is not pleasing to the Lord. So as long as you feel inspired, you feel enthused to perform devotional service, that means because that is against the Lord's mercy. Enthusiasm in the heart is the Lord's greatest mercy. So if you're enthusiastic means your activities are pleasing, because you cannot go asking someone about every single minute detail. But as long as there is bhakti in the heart, then we can understand that yeah, we're doing the right thing. And again, Krishna is not hard-hearted, and Krishna is not seeing, oh, you didn't do this thing, so I'm displeased. No, Krishna is not like that. But Krishna is seeing the overall picture. That's why it's like, we may do something wonderful on one day, but then how much are we doing the whole day, or how much are we doing the whole week? So that is important. So as long as you are feeling enthused in Krishna consciousness, I'm sure you are, and I'm sure you are following the instructions to your best ability as much as you can, then it is understood that yes, you are doing everything in such a way that it is pleasing to Krishna. Anyone else has any other question or comment online? Okay, nobody else has another question or comment. Please accept my humble obeisances. Please forgive anything wrong and inappropriate spoken. Vancha kalpatarubhishya. Kripa sindhu bheva cha paritanam pavanebhyo. Vaishnav.